Picture a January night in 1870s, Montana Territory. Outside, the mercury has plunged to 40 below zero. Wind screams across the prairie like a living thing, hungry and relentless. Inside a single-room log cabin, a family sleeps soundly beneath wool blankets, their breath visible but not frosted, their children warm despite the fire having died hours ago. This wasn't luck. This was engineering, born from necessity, a sophisticated understanding of physics that modern survivalists are only now beginning to rediscover. The frontier pioneer didn't survive winter through endless fuel consumption. They built homes that became thermal batteries, capturing and holding heat with an efficiency that would impress today's green architects. These men and women possessed an intuitive grasp of thermodynamics that came not from textbooks, but from the brutal teacher of experience, where mistakes meant frozen limbs or worse. Walk into a well-built pioneer cabin and your eyes would immediately find its centerpiece, a massive stone or brick structure dominating the room's core. This wasn't a fireplace in any modern sense. It was a Russian-style masonry heater, sometimes weighing several tons, with internal channels snaking through its bulk like the chambers of a beating heart. The pioneer would build an intensely hot fire for perhaps 2 hours each morning, feeding it until the stones glowed with absorbed energy. Then the fire would die, but the structure's work had only begun. Those heated stones released their warmth slowly, radiating gentle heat for up to 24 hours, transforming the cabin into a place where ice water wouldn't freeze overnight, and children could play barefoot on packed earth floors even as blizzards raged outside. The difference between this and a traditional fireplace was staggering. Where open hearths lost 80% of their heat up the chimney, these masonry giants captured 70 to 90%, storing it in thousands of pounds of thermal mass that became a reservoir of survival. The most ingenious pioneers understood that the ground itself was an insulator beyond compare. They built partially underground or tucked their cabins against hillsides, letting earth embrace 3 walls. This wasn't merely about wind protection. The earth maintains a relatively constant temperature just a few feet below the surface, moderating both winter cold and summer heat. Sod, thick prairie grass cut in blocks, was layered 2 feet deep on roofs, creating living insulation that held summer cool and winter warmth with an effectiveness that modern fiberglass struggles to match. Between the logs, every gap received careful attention. Moss gathered from creek beds was dried, then packed tight with clay, mud, and sometimes horsehair into the spaces where cold wanted to creep through. After the first winter's settling, they'd rechink, then again until the walls became nearly airtight. Snow itself became an ally. Banked against the cabin's base, it formed an insulating skirt that prevented ground-level drafts from stealing precious heat. Some families would intentionally pile snow several feet high against their walls, understanding that air trapped within snow creates dead space, nature's own insulation. Enter a frontier cabin during deep winter, and you'd pass through 2 doors, never one. This wasn't formality, it was thermodynamics. The outer door opened into a small vestibule, perhaps 6 feet square, unheated but protected. You'd stamp snow from your boots, close the first door completely, then open the inner door to the living space. This airlock system prevented the catastrophic heat loss that occurred when cold exterior air rushed directly into warm interiors. Some families hung heavy blankets or hides inside door frames, creating additional barriers. They closed off unused rooms entirely, concentrating life into one heated space, where body heat from 6 or 8 people added measurable warmth to the masonry heater's radiation. During the worst cold snaps, Families would bring bedding into the main room, sleeping near the still warm stones, their combined presence raising the room temperature by several critical degrees. Windows, when they existed, were small and faced south to capture precious winter sun, while thick shutters sealed them at night against heat-robbing glass. These weren't primitive shelters, they were sophisticated machines for human survival, designed by people who understood that fuel was finite, but physics was forever. Today, as we rediscover passive heating and thermal mass construction, we're walking paths the pioneers cleared generations ago. Their genius lay not in consuming more, but in needing less, in building structures that worked with winter, rather than fighting it endlessly. If this forgotten knowledge resonates with you, subscribe to Fieldcraft Chronicles. Share this with anyone who values self-reliance, historical wisdom, and the lost arts that kept our ancestors alive. These stories matter. These skills endure.